And the summer of 1940 was a dark time for Europe. Nazi Germany had swept across the continent. France surrendered in just 6 weeks. Britain stood alone against the Nazi menace. Across the English Channel, Hitler's forces gathered. The Führer believed Britain would soon capitulate, but the British were made of sterner stuff. Prime Minister Winston Churchill rallied his people. He promised to defend their island home, whatever the cost. If Britain fell, Hitler would control all of Western Europe. The United States was still neutral. The Soviet Union had a non-aggression pact with Germany. The fate of the free world hung in the balance. The Royal Air Force would prove to be the key. The Battle of Britain was about to begin. Hitler's plan for invading Britain was codenamed Operation Sea Lion. The Führer aimed to cross the English Channel with a massive invasion force. But first, Hitler needed to neutralize the Royal Navy. To deal with the Royal Navy, Hitler turned to the Luftwaffe. Germany's air force would need to gain air superiority over the Channel. They had to destroy the RAF. The Luftwaffe's commander, Hermann Göring, was confident. He boasted that his planes would sweep the RAF from the skies in days. The British were well aware of the threat. They knew their survival depended on the RAF. Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding led the RAF's fighter command. Dowding had a secret weapon radar. This new technology could detect incoming German planes. It gave the British a crucial advantage. Dowding also developed the Dowding system. The RAF was ready. They would meet the Luftwaffe's onslaught with determination and skill. On July 10, 1940, the Battle of Britain officially began. The Luftwaffe launched massive air raids against British shipping. German bombers, escorted by fighters, crossed the Channel in waves. The British response was swift and fierce. Squadrons of Hurricanes and Spitfires rose to meet the threat. The skies over southern England became a swirling battleground. The RAF pilots faced daunting odds. They were often outnumbered. Many were young, barely out of their teens. But what they lacked in experience, they made up for in courage. These brave young men threw themselves into battle again and again. Their Spitfires and Hurricanes proved a match for the German Messerschmitts. The fight was on, and it was brutal. Day after day, the battle raged in the skies. The British pilots were fighting for their homes, their families. This gave them extra motivation. Despite heavy losses, the British fighters kept coming. The Battle of Britain was turning into a war of attrition. As the battle raged in the skies, Winston Churchill rallied the nation. His speeches became legendary. On June 18, 1940, he delivered perhaps his most famous address. Churchill spoke to the House of Commons and to history. His words still echo through time. The Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin. Churchill didn't sugarcoat the danger. He warned of the fury and might of the enemy, but he also expressed unwavering faith in the British people. Churchill proclaimed, "Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say that this was their finest hour." The impact was electrifying. As August wore on, the Luftwaffe changed tactics. They began targeting RAF airfields and radar stations. The goal was to cripple Britain's air defences. For a time, it seemed to be working. The RAF was stretched to its limits. Pilots flew multiple sorties a day. Ground crews worked tirelessly to repair damaged planes. The situation was critical, but still the British fighters rose to meet each new attack. Then, on August 24th, everything changed. A German bomber accidentally dropped its payload on London. Churchill ordered a retaliatory strike on Berlin. Hitler was furious. He ordered the Luftwaffe to shift its focus to bombing British cities. This decision would prove fatal to German plans. It gave the RAF a much-needed respite. By September, it was clear the tide had turned. The Luftwaffe was taking unsustainable losses. The Battle of Britain was a turning point in World War II. For the first time, Hitler's seemingly unstoppable war machine had been halted. The Nazi leader was forced to turn his attention eastward. Britain would serve as a crucial base for the Allied counterattack in later years. Without this victory, D-Day might never have been possible. The course of the war and of history had been altered. The battle left an indelible mark on British national identity. It became a symbol of the country's finest qualities, courage in the face of overwhelming odds, resilience under fire, the ability to stand alone against tyranny. Churchill summed it up perfectly in another famous speech. He declared, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." The RAF pilots became known simply as the few. The impact of